There she is.
Hello,
Hi, Destiny.
how are you?
I'm great. I'm just going to turn off these comments so I can get more square footage on the screen. There we go.
All right, great.
um, well, welcome. So, as everyone, I tried to introduce you before you got on, but I'm just going to say again, Destinee Ross-Sutton, curator, artist advisor, art manager. I think most notably, artist advocate. And I like to add the word muse into your title. So let's dive right in, Destinee. You have done so much for Black artists and for the art world in general. And I don't normally reveal people's ages, but you're 25. Um, can you tell us how you got started in the art world and how you've accomplished so much already?
Um, it all stems from just this passion, this need to do what I can to just change the world, make it a little better. I've always been surrounded by art, my whole life. I've been brought up surrounded by culture, just surrounded by a lot of mentors and I went to Montessori or Waldorf schools as well, and those are all very artist oriented. Um, I actually went to college for journalism, and that also stemmed from this need to, I guess, make the world better in any way. I was inspired by that image of the man standing in front of the tank during the Tiananmen Square protests. Um, so I was sort of, getting a little disillusioned, I guess, and started leaning more towards the photography side, which sort of led me into, exploring more artistic uh, sides of that world. And I just sort of brushed off, I guess, in a way, the journalism, because I felt like um, the art was way more fulfilling and it gave a bigger more hope to me. Um, so I started volunteering at the Mokata Museum in Brooklyn for a few years, and um, I was just becoming more and more opinionated. I think this artist would be good. They're willing to donate a piece for a fundraiser. I think this piece will be nice, and things like that. And luckily, my voice is being valued, and so it just started building up from there. I started traveling to different shows, the Venice Biennale, Miami Basel, um, and then this year I was reached out to by CF Hill, and so we did the show together, Black Voices, Black Microcosm, and that really sort of just set things off for sure.
Wow. Well, I think what you hit the nail on the head because I would say not that many people when they have an internship and travel or to be heard, sometimes you give your opinion and you don't always have a mentor. So it sounds like you were lucky to have people support you and your voice when you were sort of putting yourself out there at work.
Yeah, absolutely. Starting from a very young age, I was fortunate enough to have been, introduced to some amazing schools, and that really set the foundation. Um, Getting to meet amazing people who've just been there for my whole life, guiding me and really pushing me to go, you know, beyond what I thought I could do. Um,
It's
which,
incredible.
sadly enough at that time and even now is kind of rare, for a kid growing up in Harlem. Um, so, I've just been really fortunate to, be surrounded by teachers and you know, people who worked at the school, so always just had something to say, or you know something cultural they wanted to show me or something like that. And so um yeah, it's been really like a lifelong journey of just being guided by some amazing people.
That's incredible. I'm just going to say you are using your journalism degree because the things that you sent me in written word, honestly, I might have you are a beautiful writer as
Oh,
well.
thank
So
you.
I think you are using that skill. Um, So let's dive into the issues because I think a lot of people feel that the art world can be intimidating, slightly elitist if you don't have the resources. How do you feel that impacts, just representation? And how do you see your role in sort of helping to redefine the landscape?
I mean, I definitely agree. There's always, I'm always seeing sort of jokes when it comes to, nepotism and things like that. And I mean, yeah, that can totally apply. And it makes it harder for people who really have a passion and a skill to, you know, get to the point where they want to be. If they don't have, parents with a lot of money, you can't go to an internship and, you know, not get paid and have to spend all that time without somebody supporting you. You can't, necessarily always put yourself through art school because a lot of families don't see that as something that's useful, something that can bring you financial security in the future. That's if you really have that skill, then of course, but oftentimes it's not 100% guaranteed. Um, and I see that and I sort of want to just do what I can, give a little guidance, uh, try to level that playing field to realize like if we're supposed to be exploring the human condition, if we're showing, the artists that I work with who are from these difficult backgrounds, then why are they only accessible to people with so much money? Why are we not showing this to people who want to see it? Why are we not showing, young kids in Harlem like myself that there is another way to live? There is another aspect to culture. Um, and so that is definitely a part of what I do, just trying to reach out, trying to make things accessible, uh, just like it was done for me.
It's fantastic. And you have the word prolific is an understatement during this time of both pandemic and much needed social change. In July, you curated a virtual show in partnership with Christie's called Say It Loud, Say It Proud. It featured 40 works from 22 artists. And these are mid-career Black artists as well as emerging artists. Can you talk about the exhibit and also how did you team up with Christie's?
Um, so it's really their effort. The sort of diversity group within Christie's was reaching out to different artists to put on the show, sort of partially as a response to not only kind of all this, speculation that's been going on within the auction world, but also at the time, the heightened tensions and the protests going on at the time as well. They reached out to an artist that I work with, NUYA Oluwaseyi, and he initially thought it was kind of a joke, so he sent it to me, and he's like, I don't know how to address this. Can you just help me out? And so I reached out. I've at that time I had been reading so many stories of corporations and groups kind of saying, while this is still relevant, quote unquote, as was said to artist Chantel Martin. So I was a bit defensive. I wanted to know what they wanted. And they were very humble. They were very kind. And they essentially said, we don't have all the answers, which for a massive auction house like Christie's to say really is sort of just this amazing, I guess, admission to say, like, we don't have this full demographic of people to match what we are putting out there. We need to get advice from these people because they truly understand the culture. They've lived the culture. And so that's where it really started. Yeah.
I mean, I'm taking so much away from what you're saying. I love that artists are enlisting you to speak on their behalf, to get the answers, to get to the truth, and to suss out situations. And I think that speaks to you have certain sense of fearlessness about you, as well as instincts about kind of people and things, it feels. So it's just very interesting that you were sort of put to kind of tasked to find out if they were genuine, which I think is very interesting. One thing that I want to point out, speaking to your instincts, is that to be part of this Christie's exhibit, you kind of demanded on behalf of the participating artists that they receive 100% of the proceeds of the sale of their work, which is not the norm. Where do these instincts come from? Like, how do you have that resolve and the confidence to advocate that way?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the main focus was that, you know, Christie's just gave their platform. They didn't get an art, you know, they didn't get a premium. They didn't get any of it. So it went to, you know, the artists and their potential representatives, or, you know, so to me, it's kind of that point of realism. A lot of people don't like to talk about money, but that's really the source of so many things. A lot of people put posts out and, you know, they say they support this and they support that. And sadly, those gestures, you know, can be seen as beautiful, but what are they really doing? You know, for example, we see those posters. I saw a poster in Times Square where, you know, it said, we support, you know, the nurses. And the only thing I could think was that that money could have went towards donating, you know, protective gear for those nurses who are on the front
Yeah.
lines. You know, I just, that's sort of how I thought, you know, these people need to eat. They need to support themselves. Some of them support their entire families. And that's just something we have to be aware of sometimes. And so it's really just, you know, if you want, if this is what you want, you have to show that you really want it, you know? Yeah.
Very true. Let's get to some works because we are here on Art News. So let's talk about what we're really talking about, which is also art. Can we go through maybe 3 of your favorites from the Christie's exhibit so people who didn't get to experience it, and tell us a little bit about the artists?
Yeah, so one of the pieces is this basically all red piece. It's a red background. The figure is wearing a red suit. There it is. And
A little
it's
bit cut off. Sorry about
yeah,
that.
it's a work by Eniwaye Oluwaseyi, and he basically got the inspiration from a photo of a friend of his. And it's basically him sort of having this wonder at the fact that the world seems so bleak. And despite all of that, despite the fact that the world wants to see who you are as odds stacked against you, as a Black person, as a woman, she's still smiling, you know? She's bright, bold, happy, you know?
I'm
And
sorry it's cut
so,
off.
yeah.
Apologies.
But I mean, it's just a beautiful photo that's basically saying, despite everything, she's full of joy, she's bold, you know, wearing red, strong. Yeah.
Wonderful. How about, let's see if this comes up.
Yeah. This is by artist Collins Ovijiaku. And he's also sort of part of this group of young Nigerian men who started by studying this sort of hyperrealism method and sort of went beyond it. And what I really love about his works is that he has these lines that sort of almost wrap around this person's skin, and it sort of takes us back to bringing us back to nature in a way, sort of saying like there are, you know, no straight lines in nature. And it kind of reminds me of the rings of a tree, or seeing like a topographical map, you know, if you see sort of the elevation of, you know, certain points in the world. And so it's really just fascinating kind of how he took this style of hyperrealism and made it his own.
It's beautiful. And then I'm just going to try to get one of the gallery itself. Is that the right
Yeah,
one?
yeah,
Okay.
it's great. So this is actually a virtual photo. This isn't a photo of the actual gallery. All of this is virtually set up, but it is a rendering of the Christie's main gallery where, I was just there the other day and I saw, $20 million Picassos and a massive dinosaur there. So seeing that sort of in this space and, people were asking me like, can I go visit? Is it actually there? It was just done really well. And to see it sort of in this same space where so many prestigious artists also have been is really amazing in and of itself.
Yeah, that is absolutely, must be thrilling.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I love this. And it doesn't stop there because in April, you curated another show that you referenced right at the top of this in Stockholm
Mhm.
with CF Hill, which was newer to me, but featuring 30 artists celebrating the intersection of humanity and Blackness, as you say, and aptly titled Black Voices, Black Microcosms. Um, so, how did that exhibit come to be with this group in Stockholm?
Um, they actually, reached out to me on Instagram. Um, they had sort of been, uh, the head of curation there had been following me for about a year. And, it was just really me just kind of quite literally pounding the pavement, just walking and traveling wherever I could to just see as much art as I could. And just seeing these people uh, that I believe in and that whose art I really love. Um, and so they reached out to me and they wanted to do a show and they, showed me the beautiful mid 17th century space they have right in the middle of Stockholm. And I mean, I just started talking to some artists and I showed them the space. I gave them some information and we're all just really excited about it. And at that point, we had no idea really what was to
Is this
come.
from there? I don't know if this
Yes,
was from that. Yeah, it's just
yes.
so opulent. It's so beautiful.
Yeah,
The
it's
the rooms are
absolutely
gorgeous.
beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, at that time we really had no idea what was about to hit us. Um, and so we kind of really got down to the wire, you know, pieces being shipped out hours before complete shutdowns in Europe. Um, and
Oh,
it
wow.
kind of turned out to the point where Sweden was really the only country in the world really that wasn't completely shut down. Um,
Yeah.
of course, they took as many precautions as they could um, with the gallery to make sure that everything was up and running. But it was really just sort of this reunion or this union rather, of as many exciting voices as, I just wanted them to be in the same room. I wanted their work to connect with each other. I wanted, you know, we couldn't physically be there, so I wanted their work to have those conversations with each other in that room. Yeah.
So these are 30 artists in Stockholm during the quarantine, almost the shutdown, getting shipped to this unbelievably opulent museum. And how are you finding these 30 emerging artists? I mean, what resources are you leveraging?
Well, a few of them I had already like known in person, um, meeting them at galleries and the like, but Instagram was a huge tool during that time. It's all really about the visual, and so a lot of these artists promote their work and some of them will send me images or some of them will tag me in their work. Um,
Wow.
and with some of them, I'll just start a conversation, I just find them in all different ways. But um, yeah, I would say Instagram has really been like a big part of most of my operations for sure.
It's incredible because, we've had many conversations with artists, curators, and this is a recurring theme that comes up, is leveraging Instagram to promote yourself, to market yourself, to introduce yourself. And it's really becoming a great tool for artists and for
Absolutely.
advocates.
Yeah.
So the exciting news for people who live in the US who are not able to get to this exhibit or didn't know about it is that you're bringing a version of it. While the works will be different, but the artists may have some overlap on October 21st. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's going to be in an actual space in New York City as well as online?
So it is mostly, the entire show will be virtual.
Okay.
Um, it's on a, it's on a virtual platform, and uh, I'm working on a physical space as well. Just usually, I guess, to have a selection of works, sort of, that I want to highlight, or just for people to sort of get a taste of it, and they can sort of continue their journey on, this on online, essentially. Um, so I am working on a physical space as well.
So on October 21st, if I'm watching this right now, how can I find this show virtually? Where would I go?
It'll be on Vortic, so you can find it on the Vortic app.
Vortic app. Okay. Sorry, do you mind
Yes.
spelling it? I always think it's helpful. Let's tell
Yeah.
people where to find it. Uh-huh.
VORTIC. So it'll be on that app, and it'll be online as well.
That's fantastic. And then I'm just going to say one last thing about this exhibit, because you sent me some great information. And the theme, the curatorial theme, is based on a quote that you sent me that says, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare." Powerful to read something like that, especially now during quarantine. Seems like a very important message for everybody.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about that theme and why it resonated for you?
This year has been so chaotic, and to see sort of self-love, joy, caring for oneself, healing, as that is seen as an act of revolution, that is seen as an act of rebellion in some spaces. Um, and it's been shown time and time again that people, especially people of color, just enjoying themselves is almost and often perceived as a threat. So I just want this to be a space to be able to look at art and enjoy it, just to be able to see it as a source of healing and calm. And yeah, that's really the main.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And I am starting things virtually. I'm also looking for physical spaces, sort of to do pop-ups and as well. So I'm looking for sponsorships and partnerships so I can keep that going as well.
Okay, Destiny is manifesting. Anyone listening, she's looking for pop-up space and partnerships. You heard it here on Art News. So you are discovering talent every day, and you actually have really propelled the career of somebody we did at one of these interviews with, Kahari Turner, who love Kahari's work, and he's a wonderful guy. How did you meet Kahari? And then we can talk about your partnership on the cover of InStyle magazine. But how did you come upon his work? Was that also through Instagram?
Yeah, it was. It's kind of like mutual. You sort of see what other people are posting, or you sort of have things directed towards you based on who you follow. And so I just saw his work, and really sort of this hyper focus on what is seen as the most prominent of Black features, the nose and the lips, and then sort of this, I guess, it's not actual like physical, being around it, sort of that juxtaposition is really like beautiful. And I was just absolutely obsessed, the first time seeing it. And, I really love his work so much.
Couldn't agree more. And he's a wonderful guy to boot.
Yeah.
So Kahari is featured among other Black artists as part of the September 2020 issue of InStyle that had Zendaya on the cover. You were tapped as part of the creative team, her stylist, La Roche, obviously doing the fashion portion of that. So can you explain exactly what you were asked to do as part of this Zendaya cover?
Yeah, I mean, Law had reached out to me, and he basically said that they were essentially given free reign, and he wanted to tap as many Black creatives as possible, whether that was makeup, whether that was the clothes she was wearing were by Black designers, the photographers. And so he said he needed some Black art. And so I just immediately got to work, and I'm like, who has something that they could lend for the day? And, who do I think would be kind of a good fit for this? So you can kind of see the Kari piece in the right corner. And there's also...
let's see if I think I have a close-up of it. Is this one?
Yes.
Yeah. See it a little bit better.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was really sort of like a bit of a scramble in a way, as I suppose.
Photo shoots always are.
Yeah. I can only imagine. So, we just got the work there. We got it put up, and it was really just about this coming together of Black creatives. And I was just really excited to help, put that in place in some way. And then there's also the Star City that was contributed by his gallery as well in LA, and the Otis Cueco piece. It's a smaller piece, and that was lent by a collector in LA as well.
So great. I mean, you just seem to have an ability to work so quickly and pull from so many different sources. You have so many interesting relationships, and it's very admirable. Let's talk about the fact that not only are you supporting artists, but they've kind of turned the spotlight back on you, and you've been a muse. I mean, I know it might be embarrassing, but it's so cool that you're inspiring a lot of the work. So can we talk about a few of the artists that have featured you as the subject? Kehinde Wiley, to start, and you're gonna tell us a fun fact about him that you taught me that I thought was very cool.
Well, as I'm sure many people know, he's the artist that did the presidential portrait of President Obama. So that was
so cool.
Absolutely amazing.
There we go.
There we go. And that, really was just sort of random. He just started portraying friends, and so he had asked me, and who am I to say anything but yes? So I was just really excited and quite nervous, and it was just an amazing process overall, just getting to go from doing the poses to moving on to getting to see it.
What's the symbolism of the coat of arms? I mean, what's coming? I don't know. What do you take away from this?
Yeah, I don't think that was actually on the actual armor. But I mean, it's just kind of funny because I guess lions have always been like a significant thing in my life in a way. Whether, I don't know if people believe in zodiac, but I am a Leo, and I did some research on my father's name, Sutton, and that was also a prominent coat of arms within, I guess, different branches of the Sutton family. So I just thought it was an interesting link. Yeah.
That's great. I'm glad I asked. So let's talk about Amoako Boafo. You have two great stunning portraits. We got one here.
Yeah.
So tell us about these.
he works and mostly lives in Vienna, Austria. That's where he went to art school as well. Um, and so he would sort of explain that he didn't always get to have people model in person, um, because there's just not that many Black people in Austria as a whole, to be honest. And he found that on my Instagram. And uh, the other work as well was also on my Instagram, and that's where he got sort of a lot of inspiration for his works.
It's really incredible. I mean, it must make you feel, I don't know how it makes you feel, but it's pretty special
Uh,
to have the
it's
artist
always just a
validate you.
pleasant sort of, yeah, it's always just like a pleasant surprise, I guess, just getting to see that, and knowing that I guess I've made that sort of impact, however large or small, to be able to be immortalized, I guess, in this way.
I do have to say this next one is my favorite. So this painting is by Derek Adams, and he says he was inspired by your braids. And you told me that this isn't necessarily you per se, it might be you know,
Yeah.
inspired by aspects of you.
So, up until very recently, he had never actually portrayed any exact person. He recently started posting his portrayals of, close family friends, sort of combined with his floater series. Um, and so his works are always sort of a composite of different people, whether it's something from memory or, seeing a photo somewhere. Um, and so it's just, it's not now, but my hair is almost always just hanging in front of my face. And so I just thought it was a beautiful, I guess, good to know that I guess he hopefully thought of me when he did this piece.
Well, we have to talk about your gorgeous, colorful braids. I mean, is like your signature, you know, icons always have a signature. Can you tell us a little bit about how you started to express yourself with your braids and maybe a little bit about your style or your beauty philosophy, if you have one?
Yeah, I mean, it to me, I had always been getting braids, and it partially was, I guess, a point to just let my hair grow and let it rest. And I started getting bored with the same colors, and so I just started looking for different colors. And um, I didn't necessarily want to dye my own hair, uh, so I started by dyeing um, the you know the synthetic hair that I get. I just started dyeing it myself, and I just fell in love with the whole process. It's just really fun, kind of hunting down new colors or going back to my old favorites and just playing around. And yeah.
I love it. All right, so we want to know, Destiny, we've gone a little over time, but my last question is really, I mean, you're doing so many things. What's next for you? You mentioned looking for gallery space, pop-up shops. Is that what we can come to expect next?
Yeah. So I am setting up my own gallery. I'm going to start virtually. Um, I just feel like that's sort of the thing to do right now, um, especially because I want my reach to really be further, to just connect with more people across the world instead of having all the work localized to one space. But I am looking into having physical spaces, pop-ups. And so, yeah, like I said, I'm looking for sponsorships and partnerships to hopefully keep that going for sure.
It's great. So for everyone who is now a Destiny fan, where can we follow you on a day-to-day basis?
Um, Definitely my Instagram. So that is spelled DESTI dot and then KNEE. That is basically the easiest place to contact me. That is my main mode of communication. You can see what art I'm falling in love with, and you can sort of see my day to day and my stories, as I found a lot of people have been engaging with as well.
Great. Well, this is certainly not the last conversation with you. We're so excited to see everything that you do going forward. Thank you so much for joining us.